the holidays are here, a time we're told is supposed to be all about joy and celebration and giving. But if we're being honest, for a lot of us, it can also feel pretty overwhelming, right? So today we're digging into a source that asks a really important question. What does it actually take to make this the most wonderful time of the year?
And this slide just perfectly captures that tension we all feel, doesn't it? On one side, you have the ideal, genuine goodwill and connection. And on the other side, there's the reality of all that commercial pressure, that mad rush to just spend, spend, spend. The source we're exploring today really gets into this tug of war between authentic giving and just consumerism.
So before we get totally swept up in the holiday chaos, the source material asks us to just pause for a second and ask ourselves this one simple question. When we give, what's our real motivation? Seriously, answering this for yourself is the real key to unlocking a holiday that actually feels meaningful.
Now, to help us figure that out, the source breaks down the whole act of giving into two completely different types. And understanding this difference, well, it's the first step to really changing how we experience the whole season.
This slide lays out a really powerful contrast. See, on the one hand, you've got empty giving. It might make you feel good for a minute, maybe it just checks a box off your to-do list, but at the end of the day, it's kind of transactional. But then, on the other hand, there's giving with true love. And that's all about real connection. It comes from a place of empathy and respect, and it truly enriches both people involved. It's a total win-win.
The source uses this incredible metaphor for that kind of deep nourishment, spiritual bread. It's this idea that genuine connection is what actually feeds our souls. It's what satisfies that deep-down craving we all have for real peace and happiness. And this idea isn't new. This famous biblical quote illustrates the concept perfectly. It suggests that when we really act from a place of love, we're tapping into something that provides a deep, lasting kind of spiritual nourishment.
Okay, so if this spiritual bread is the key, how do we get it? How do we unlock this true joy, not just for other people, but for ourselves?
Now, here's a really fascinating insight from the source. We almost always think of love as an action, something we do. But there's also this crucial passive side to it. It's not just about what we give, but also about what we're willing to let go of.
And this slide lists them out for us, giving up prejudice, intolerance, impatience, pettiness, and greed. This is all the internal baggage. Like that impatience you feel on a ridiculously long checkout line, or the little petty comments that can sneak into family get-togethers. That's the stuff that gets in the way of a true connection. It either stops it from happening at all, or it just poisons it.
This brings us to a simple but really powerful truth about personal responsibility. Think about it. You can't eat a meal to make someone else feel full. It just doesn't work that way. And in the same way, you can't find spiritual peace for someone else. It's got to be an inside job.
And that, right there, is the core message. We can't just sit around and hope for peace on earth to magically show up. The source argues that creating a truly wonderful holiday season starts with each and every one of us. It's a personal mission.
Okay, but if it's really that simple, that change just starts with us, then why is it so incredibly hard? Why haven't we already transformed everything?
Well, the source points to two huge obstacles that keep this kind of individual change from really taking hold in the wider world. First, there's the I before others syndrome, that deep, primal instinct for self-preservation that can really hold us back. And second, even when we do try to change, it's just so easy to get discouraged when it feels like nobody else around us even cares.
So, how can one person even hope to make a dent in a world that seems so resistant to change? It can feel totally overwhelming. This is the central question, isn't it? How do you keep going when it feels like you're swimming against the current? Well, the source offers a really powerful metaphor to help guide us. And here it is. This ancient parable is basically a blueprint for how massive change can start from something incredibly small. It's not about using force, it's about having a quiet, persistent, transformative influence. So, the source challenges each of us who wants to see change to start seeing ourselves this way. Not as some powerless individual, but as a catalyst, as the yeast, a small but powerful force that has the ability to transform the entire culture around it.
And if you think about it, we see this all through history. Change almost always starts with ideas that seem a little out there or fringe. But through pure passion, conviction, and just sticking with it, a small group can eventually totally shift the way the majority thinks.
This brings all these big ideas right back down to you.
How can you take this idea of being the yeast and actually use it to make this your most wonderful year yet?
Here's a really practical tip from the source. Remember this simple law of nature. To build your own conviction, especially when you're just starting out, it is so important to surround yourself with supportive, like-minded people. I mean, you can't light a fire in the pouring rain, right?
And let's be super clear, this is not about giving up celebrations or presents or having fun. It is not a call to be a Scrooge. The goal is to fill those things with a deeper meaning, because true love ultimately is found in the joy of life.
So, we'll leave you with the source's final challenge. It totally reframes the holiday season from something that just happens to you to an active opportunity. It's a chance for you to be a catalyst for the kind of joy and connection you want to see in the world. So the only question left is, how will you be the yeast?